Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Brace for Impact. I'm your host, Parks, and joining me on the other side of the screen there is Benikage. He is wiping some windows down, I guess, trying to figure
It's
out.
E it's Evo, man. Wax on,
Yeah,
wax off. The
yeah.
old E Honda. There you go.
There you go. Um, yeah, I don't know where to carry with that because my ninja skills are not anywhere where they're supposed to be. I'm not a martial artist. That I leave that to my brother down the stairs. He can take care of all the ninjas while I kind of just
Okay.
sit there
He's
and.
a Street Fighter player? Is that what it
No,
is?
no, he actually
You're the
is a
guys that
martial
do
artist.
you're
He
the
has a
one that
black
does
belt.
commerce in the background? Is that what it is?
Yeah, yeah.
Comedy
He's
reference, by the
yeah.
way. So,
I don't- All right. Let's get away from the references for a second here. Let's get into some stuff here because we do have a packed episode in an interesting way, I'd say. But yeah, I mean, there wasn't too much in terms of CS going on just off this top here. I remember at in the end of last episode, we are like, what are we watching for the next 2 weeks? There's nothing. Turns out there was something. Last minute set up for the cash cups. It's the last set of cash cups that we have, I think, before the qualifiers come up because those are going to be happening very soon. So we
yeah.
got cash cup number 3 for the summer. There might be a fourth before then.
There's catch cups this weekend.
Yes. Okay.
So,
So there's one more set of cash cups, but
yep.
basically everywhere, for all intents and purposes, this was the only thing that really happened this weekend. These past weekends was
Yeah.
cash cup number 3. And nothing happened for the Asian Cash Cup. They got canceled again. Not enough signups.
Yeah, it's one of these things where sorry to cut you off, but
Nope.
it's like I think 8 of the last 10 have been canceled.
Yeah, and I mean that doesn't really speak too well to the future health of that. But at the same time, they have Perfect World. They have the Goddess Cups. Like, they're not, or is it Sakura Cups? I forget what they're
No,
called.
it's the Take Aim Goddess Cups.
Yeah, okay.
You're right.
So, they're not exactly losing anything by not playing these. It's just they're not adding to their rotation essentially
They're not gonna play. They're not gonna pay for a whole nother client
to
to
play.
play a cash cup
Yeah.
every other weekend. That's only gonna pay 2 of the teams. We know the region's got like 20,
Yeah.
and it only pays them like $350.
Yeah,
there.
it's
like
it's
not
not
gonna
worth it.
happen.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Unless you've managed to find unless shenanigans start happening with match fixing, but that's not something you really want to think about.
Why
So
would you even say that? Yeah.
well,
Why would you say that?
I always say those kinds of things. Anyways, we're gonna move on. We're gonna follow the order we usually do. Oceania coming up first. Yarp versus Eep.
Aussie!
Oi, oi, oi. All right, World Cup aside, I love the team names coming through this time around. Yarp and Eep, and Eep is a personal favorite of mine. So Barps, Arya, Angel Gun, Maddie, and Noogs on Yarp going up against Bernie, Bones, Kimbab, Mia, and Turkey Swag on Eep. Unfortunately, it was very much in the favor of Yarp. They won 16-5, 16-4. So very quick dispatching of Eep, and I mean they must be pretty eepy after that. Very sleepy. A little bit of slang that I picked up from my time there, hanging with the Aussies.
Real hard at you. There's a little bit of slang I picked up from my time. Sleepy, like what is that?
I'm there. Give me a little
It's a
bit,
little
please.
bit of old cash cups. This one, right? It's like Mirage, Overpass, Inferno,
Yeah.
Mirage, Inferno, Overpass. Like you know what I mean? But no, it kind of went, I guess, as you'd kind of expect with Yarp. This team's pretty good. Maddie, Nukes, Arya Shark, Barf. So
Yeah.
you know, there's players on the other side that are good. Obviously, Bones, Kimbab, but you know, it's
The results speak for itself, I think, when you get
yeah.
to that point.
I think it's pretty fair to say Yarp deserved it, and pretty quick results prove that. So
Speaking of quick results, the other one that came through. Wait, this was the Cash Cup where they had less than 24 hours. The Oceania sides, didn't they? I forget if it was this one or if it was another one.
No, that was the last one.
That was the last one. Okay,
Yep.
I remember there was one where they had less than 24 hours, and I thought I made a note of that, but we might have talked about it the last episode.
No,
and I
yeah,
just
that was
forgot
the
about it.
last one because they reached out to me so you could commentate. I'm like, I booked around the golf at 6 a.m. So I
Yeah.
was like, I'm not, you know,
Yeah.
I can't. I'd lose the green fee. So
Yeah. All right. That puts us into South Africa then. 2 teams signed up, ATK and Vibin Female. More on them later. ATK taking this one pretty soundly on Ancient 16-3. Vertigo was a bit more of a trick for them. 16-13, but yeah, it was a 2-0, and ATK win that one in hand as well.
Yeah, as expected. Ancient was really one-sided. But this ATK side's really good. I
Yeah.
think it's I Hate Jess now. It's in the team, so I think it's
Yes.
2SSB, Casey, Megs, I Hate Jess, and Creative.
Correct.
Really good team.
Yeah.
I Hate Jess has always been a really good player, like that's working on her skills, that's getting better slowly over time, and um, I think she's starting to prove that a little bit in this lineup. Megs is
That
obviously
is
just
really
exposed.
interesting.
What's up?
2SSB was not. It was a 5v4 in on Vertigo. 2SSB wasn't in
Uh,
there.
Not all of the rounds. They floated back between 5v4 and 5v5.
Right.
She did
Okay.
connect for a few of the rounds. Yes, I watched Newt stream before. She was
Yeah.
having internet problems, so
Well, as happens when you are in a country that
but
goes through rolling
the
blackouts.
big news about this is these were on. Look at the server.
Oh, hold on. Overview.
Johannesburg.
Johannesburg! Woo! They fixed it.
So
Thank goodness.
they have South African servers now.
Take that off the complaint list.
Yes, yes.
Add in 10 other issues below it, but take that one off the complaint list.
So issue number 1 below it, SCOM. The issue
Yeah.
number 2, but still.
Have to confirm. You have to re-register for anyways. You have to re-register for cash cups because for some reason that doesn't confirm
Right,
you when you
right.
register. It's so dumb.
Which is a problem for every region except for South Africa because SCOM.
Yeah.
That's just, anyway, over to
South America.
South America. Yes, we only had 3 teams for this month. So,
Yeah.
Linda Bonita, Davina, and MIBR. Now, important note: Linda Bonita is this new team with Bob. But now in this one, it was Sinon, Mari, Bob's, Chroma, Arquinia,
Yeah.
and Davina's obviously Cardi Banana, Brandina, 11, Colazina, and AFM.
Okay.
So, but pretty close actually. So Mirage 1610 and then Nuke 1613. So closer games. But the interesting point to note is, and we'll discuss it all in the news. Um, there's been a lot of roster shifts in South America.
Yeah.
It almost rivals North America for once. You would almost think this is NA advanced.
We did
But
the I crunched the numbers, and our news is about 50% one side, 50% one region, 50% the other region. So like you don't get away with just saying it is NA advanced.
Listen. Okay. And NA advanced might be a stretch, but it's like it because NA advanced, there's 60 teams, and I think 3 of them stay together at the end of every season.
Yeah.
But moving on, it is nonetheless Linda Bonita that win the semifinal versus Davina. I think that's to be expected. There are good players on Davina. Cardi Banana 11, but this is a team that's always been kind of like 6th, 7th, 8th best in the region, right? So it's not really a surprise to see these players coming in from a Black Dragons or W7M or whatever form together and really just kind of punch them out of the
Yeah.
competition. Not to sound harsh, I don't mean it in a harsh way. But that gave us MIBR versus Linda Bonita in the final. Kiza, China, Regiane, Ferzi, and Yojina. And MIBR all over this one. 16-7 on Mirage, 16-12 on Inferno. They're still really punchy on the Mirage, MIBR. Like, it's always the map that they've just been very solid on. Inferno, they're looking better and better on. They beat B4 the BGS on it. So, 2-0 here. Not a surprise. I think as expected. Linda Bonita, though, there's stuff to build on there. You know what I mean? I think there's definitely stuff this team could build on.
You've got good players, and now you have potentially a lot more coming through. A little bit of roster shakeup can happen now because the season 4 is coming up, but it's not here yet, and there's going to be a lot of interesting opportunities coming forward for them. So
absolutely,
South America is going to be a very good region to watch in the next few weeks here for sure. Moving on, then we go to North America, and something you pointed out to me just before we started here. North America got the most teams of any of the regions for the Cash Cups.
America
coming in with 10 teams, and honestly, like casting this one, it felt good. Like this felt like a solid bracket We had notably both EG Gold and FlyQuest Red playing. Um,
Yep.
Fluffy Aimers White came in strong as well.
Yep.
Totsugeki. Let me see if I can list off a few teams here. I'm gonna just grab the bracket real quick.
Interestingly enough, it's EG Gold with a new lineup.
Yes, yes, and we will get to that in a little
Yeah.
bit here. I mean, a few other teams as well that I've talked to some of the players and be like, "So, is this that actual thing?" And they've gone, "We're not going to say anything just yet." And I'm going, "Okay, sure." Um,
Oh
yeah,
my god, I just noticed who was on Steve Buscemi, the team Steve Buscemi.
yeah. I will let you know about that in a little bit. Don't you worry. That
Okay.
one, I can't discuss it now, but I will let you know about that one after the pod.
Okay.
I have to hold it
Can I
secret.
at least talk about it very quickly?
Yeah, you can talk about the roster
So
real quick.
really quickly. So Steve Buscemi was Natty, Kiyonetta, Naomi, Kimmy, and Chelsea. Now,
Hmm.
for those that don't know, Natty, Kiyonetta, Naomi, and Kimmy played way long ago on a lineup together called A New Esport. And it was a fun lineup to commentate. I'll tell you what, except for the fact that their favorite map was Dust 2 and they played Dust 2 a lot. But aside from that, it was really fun to watch that team. That was one of the first teams personally that I got in when I was commentating. That was my first paid gig. It was one of the
Right.
first teams I commentated. So when I looked at it and I said, "Oh my God, the gang's all here!" So it's just it warmed my heart. I'm so happy to see that. But anyway, back to the tournament now that we're off the rails.
Yep. I will leave it towards the semifinals and the grand finals just for time's sake here. FlyQuest Red go up against Totsugeki. They win that 2-0 in fairly emphatic fashion, 16-9 to 16-1. Evil Geniuses Gold went up against Fluffy Aimers White. And this Fluffy Aimers White side, by the way, has been together for a little bit now. They are definitely going to be a team to watch. They've got Bezdaria, who used to play for Saints. They've got Jigen, who has kind of bounced around some of the top teams, but never really found a spot. They've got Kate, Mira, Fox, and then their coach of Aaron. Um, and that went up against the new Evil Geniuses Gold lineup. As of right now, we know it to look something like this in Piggy Kiki, Milky, Sevenlicious, with newcomers Yuli and Vanessa. Notable coach Munster, by the way. Shout out to Joe, awesome guy.
Yeah, really great guy in the scene,
Yeah,
Joe.
awesome man.
So
So they went up against Fluffy Amers White, and it was a close affair. It went the distance. It was a 2-1 win for Fluffy Amers White, a 16-12 on Ancient, 16-13 for Inferno. Sorry, to EG Gold, 16-12 on Mirage for Fluffy Amers White. So that put Fluffy Amers White against FlyQuest Red in the grand finals, and they did not look close at all, unfortunately, is the easiest way to put it. 16-2 and then a 16-7. It seemed like the big fight was that semifinal match, and that kind of puts them, gives you a rough estimation of where they are in the ranking right now. The notable team that
I,
wasn't there, and I will just say this, the notable team that was not there was Shimmer. They did
yep,
not participate. We will get to them in just a second.
yep. I think the main thing is it's back to the old ways that this region was, where it's like FlyQuest Red and then everybody else. Now, Fluffy Aimers White's a good team. They'll give FlyQuest some problems. I mean, EG might as well, but
Yeah.
it's one of those things where where we were talking about Shimmer like taking maps, taking series, going to land and taking 12 rounds off CLG or something like that at the time CLG. It's one of these things where it's like I think that's gone with the roster changes now
Yeah.
for at least the intermediate, right? Like that can always come back as teams practice more.
Yeah, we'll definitely see where that goes towards the end of season
Right,
4
but
because they got to give time for these teams to acclimate more than they
right,
have.
exactly. But with the roster changes being so new, right now the region's back to being FlyQuest and everybody else.
Yeah.
However, in that everybody else, Fluffy Amers White continued to slowly ascend to the top, right?
Yes. Yes.
So they might be the cream of the crop because this Macho Man always says the cream always rises to the top. So it's a wrestling reference for you, but
Yeah.
that might be the case here. I'm not going to say that it is because I want to see more series. I want to see how EG Gold do, the do Shiver lineup do. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's so much undecided, but it's one of these things where like you can't deny that Fluffy Amers have looked pretty freaking good from what we've
For
seen
sure.
so far. And like that, if you're going into the qualifiers, this is a team that you got to keep an eye on, like 100%,
Yeah.
because They pack enough punch that you think they can get to the season 4 regular season, the online season. So
Right. Okay. That leaves us then, and we're gonna try and get this pretty quick. This leaves us with Europe, who came in with their lowest team total off season as well. 6 teams come through, and the notable teams are Navi Javelins, It's Crazy, It's Party, NIP Impact, and Yayo. The semifinals ended up being Navi versus It's Crazy, It's Party. Navi taking that easily 2-0. And then NIP versus Yayo. That was a 3-map thriller. Yayo won Nuke 19-17. Nip comeback wins 16-10 on both Ancient and Mirage to make it to the grand finals. And it's kind of the same thing as with EG Gold and Fluffy Aimers White and FlyQuest Red. Nip got to the finals, and then Navi just said, we're done here. And won 16-4 on Nuke, 16-6 on Mirage. And that was that for the EU Cash Cup. But very interesting to see 6 teams. Hopeful that there will be more in the near future, because it's always nice to see, like, they have a lot of times they had like 20 teams come through in a lot of cases.
They've had
like,
20 before.
They've had large amount. They have large amounts come through.
We've had fast cups with like 32 teams as well in the fast cups as well. So it's kind of nuts how many teams are in Europe. But I will say, we talked about real quick Fluffy Aimers White being the team to watch going to the qualifiers.
Yeah.
Throw your hands in the air and say, "Oh Yayo," because Yayo is the team. Great song, by the way, classic. But another 90s rap reference for you. But nonetheless, that I think that's a team to watch out for in the qualifiers as well. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But that wraps up the Cash Cups. So let's get into the news.
Yes, the news, the all-important news. It's a lot of roster stuff this time around. So we're gonna kind of back it up a little bit. We're gonna go to NA first, and then we'll finish off with South America, I think, for this one.
Okay, that's fair.
Shimmer has a new lineup, first of all. So with Vanessa going to EG Gold at this point, that's kind of what has happened, and there was an announcement as well. LX has also been removed from the roster. She's been cut. That meant bringing in new players, and they brought in Bouchard and Andrea from the old Detonate lineup. So we saw that Detonate had been invited, and we kind of knew that that was going to be a bit of an issue because that team was kind of pretty much dead, and that this announcement has all but confirmed it. So we don't know what the spot's going to what's going to happen to the Detonate spot, but we know that Bouchard and Andrea have found a spot on that team. It's not 100% confirmed for Andrea, I can say, just because of scheduling. I know that was an issue before, when Detonate were originally kind of Andrea was having like a lot of scheduling. IRL stuff came up. That's why a lot of these players left Detonate, because other scheduling stuff. So we'll see if they might be popping in with a new 5th, but I know for sure Bouchard is on that roster. Andrea was the player slated in for that 5th spot. That might change. We don't know. Continuing on with that, Cherry Bombs have now finally found their 5th. Initially, they played with Olya in the LCA Final Offensive League. They played with her for I think for a few matches. They have instead elected to pick up somebody new who they don't even really have too much info on. Her name is Audie, but they like what they see.
AUTI, by the way.
AUTI, yeah.
Automatic.
Kind of like automatic, yeah. Audie. So that's where that one comes in. And then I guess we'll finish off with the final bit of news coming in from South Africa. Viben as an org no longer sponsors an FE team. Instead, it's Evasive now. So the whole Viben team has gone from Viben, or the whole team from Viben has gone and now joined Evasive. So rip Viben. I actually did like their logo. Their logo is pretty tight, but I don't know what their plans are going forward. Maybe they pick up White Rapida Morales. I genuinely I don't know. I don't even know if White Rapida Morales is a team.
And say, oh yeah, yo.
Yeah, maybe. Pulling ATK in North America.
It was a cheap joke. Okay.
It was.
Anyway.
That leaves us with the Brazilian stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Big news. Big news. The first of which is B4 and Furia, both teams are open to new offers. So the contract for B4 has run out. They will represent B4 at the upcoming Masters Feminina tournament. But the team is open for new offers, right? B4 is not going to re-sign them. I think it's just because the economic situation's so bad.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a scenario where like Black Dragons, where Black Dragons are generally financially struggling. I think B4 are fine, but I think it's one of these things where they just what's everybody doing in this economic environment? They're contracting and they're cutting expenses. So this team, the contracts run out. There's no need to re-sign if you're trying to cut expenses, and that's where B4 stand, and they are open to offers. Now, we got news that Furia is shopping the women's side as well. So the two big names in the Brazilian scene are basically on. They're the doggy in the window right now.
Okay.
And a lot of, I think, teams got to worry. I mean, the quality of these teams. If I'm an org owner and I want to get in the impact team, I'm
That
asking
those
how
are some
much that
teams to look
doggy is
at.
in the window.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but those are that's the two big pieces of news. We'll follow the story closely to see where they end up. Obviously, the other one is that Bokur has formed a new team. Now, this team is like, I don't even want to call it like a core of Black Dragons. I don't want to call it a core of W7M because it's kind of like all over the shop. I've got to find the tweet. Twitter Pro is, or TweetDeck, whatever it's called now, is not doing me. Okay, here we go. So it's Sinon and Bobs from Black Dragons,
Right.
Mari from W7M, and then it's Sigala and Patos, I think, is the coach. Patos is the coach.
Okay.
So it's Sigala, Bokor, of course, Bokor from previously W7M and Furia.
Yeah.
Sigala, Mari from W7M, Bobs and Sinon from Black Dragons. Pretty good lineup. Mari's a good rifle. Bokor's a good rifle. Sinon and Bob's are good riflers. Bokor might, I feel like, maybe Sigala's the AWPer. I haven't seen enough of her to know.
Right.
But I'm like, where's the AWP gonna go here? I'm wondering where it is. Is it gonna go with Bokor? Is it gonna go with Sigala? So that's what I'm curious as. But that's the other big piece of news. And I think it's a good team. I think it's a good enough team that maybe they get into to Impact Season 4. If we got to another, if we were doing Liga Feminine again, where it was like the group stage and the 16 teams, maybe
Right.
they make the bracket. Don't know if they like, it's one of these things where it's like, are you gonna fancy him over Furia? No. Are
Hmm.
you gonna fancy him over MIBR? No. Are you gonna fancy him over B4? Probably not.
Yeah.
Uh, don't know where they would rank up. Like Ravens even might give this team problems, but they definitely have enough quality to beat a team like Ravens. So I don't know.
Right.
We'll see. They gotta really find their space in South America. But that's it. That's all the news.
That's all the news.
So Parks, this is a big question for you.
Yeah.
What are you watching?
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit early in the episode, but um, I'm watching the Cash Cup, I believe, coming up this weekend, and then we'll have the first qualifier coming up next
Yes.
weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Next weekend, or is it? Yeah,
next weekend.
Next weekend.
Next weekend
Yep,
for
next
the
weekend.
next weekend for the first qualifier, and then yeah, if there's a Cash Cup this weekend, I'll be watching casting that. Definitely gonna have some fun
Okay.
with that. Benny, what are you watching?
Well, we hinted at it. There's a big tournament in Brazil this weekend.
Yeah.
And we've got, I should say, a special guest to walk us through that tournament. So let's bring her in now.
Perfect.
And joining us for the second half of the Brace for Impact episode, number 23, it's the lovely Nessyteras. Welcome, Nessie.
Thank you so
So,
much. Hi, guys.
yeah, it's great to have you along. Team Nessie all the way, of
Hi, yay.
course. And she's joining us for what we are going to talk about is coming up this weekend, which is Masters Feminina VII. So Hollywood is not the only place that's got the big box office feature. It's going to be Gamers Club this weekend with Masters Feminina VII. And we've got 6 great teams: B4, Furia, Black Dragons, MIBR, W7M, and Ravens in this tournament. So let's get started, shall we? B4 and Furia obviously got the bye because B4 won Liga Feminina the first edition, and then Furia won the second edition. But we've got MIBR and W7M as the initial matchup here.
Yes.
Who do we like on this one? So I think this is going to be. I know that even W7M's had a little bit of a roster turnover as well. I don't think Mari's in the side anymore. She's going to play with Bokor. Um,
Yes.
but
Not only her, Samis as well has
right,
already left the roster. So they had some big changes, not only player wise, but also role wise, because Juliana used to be their upper, and she's no longer the upper. Now it's Luflix. So
right.
I think Double 7M is going through a lot of changes, and they're having a hard time to adjust, which is completely expected, since you
Right.
have so many changes to adapt to.
And I think based on that and the fact that MIBR looked pretty good as one
Yes,
of
they
the
do.
top 3 teams, I should say, in Brazil. I think it's pretty hard not to favor W or MIBR in this one.
Yes.
I would certainly expect it going into the matchup, which would drop W7M into the bottom half of the bracket. It's one of these things where the rosters have changed so much, and they haven't even changed like a ton. Like obviously B4 is still the same and all that, but like now my question is like, well, what are we even going to expect for the maps? It's not something like I can say, oh, we've seen a huge kind of sample size like we did with some of these teams pre even the Dallas land, where it's like now I'm like I honestly have no clue what we're going to see with these maps because these teams might want to change that pool. They might be debuting a new pool at this tournament, so it's kind of in a really, I don't want to say odd state, but it's in an interesting state coming out of the player break with all these roster changes um, that this tournament's in. But I think we both agree I might be art there.
I'm keeping
So
track. I'm keeping track.
yeah,
Don't you
that's
worry.
fine. It's all good. Well, it leads us into Black Dragons and Ravens.
Yes.
So Black Dragons, of course, I still think they're going to be running with the old lineup, even though I believe Signon is going to be is also in Bokor's team. I call it
Yeah, not only
Bokor's team because she made
Sino,
the
but
tweet. So,
yeah, Bob's as well.
but, yeah.
Sino and Bob's already left the building for Black Dragons, but
Mhm.
other thing that I think is worth mentioning, Black Dragons no longer has a lineup.
Right.
They
Right.
already
Contracts ran.
disbanded, and
Yeah.
the organization couldn't keep them. So I do believe that Black Dragons come with a little. They're not as motivated, because they won't
Right.
be keeping their lineup. Kami and Lei, I don't think they are gonna be playing anymore. Kami
Oh,
is already
really?
back to casting.
Like
Yeah,
retirement or
yeah. Lei hasn't said anything, but
okay.
Kami is already back to casting, which she used to do
Right.
for while she was, retired.
Right.
Mhm.
So I don't think they're coming back so soon, at least not anytime soon. So Black Dragons, it's a really wild card because they do have Josie as a complete, and Josie is an amazing player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's on the bench for the
Yeah.
big keep up. So she will be completing the roster for this matchup and this whole event. And she Josie can brew a storm on her lonesome. So and she do
Yeah.
have a lot of good company on Black Dragon since all the girls are amazing. But it's a major change between Josie and the next. They're both entry fraggers, they're both very good riflers, but when you think tactic wise and map wise, everything changes.
Yeah, I feel like you're gonna see, especially in this one against Ravens, like you're gonna see more of like Inferno Mirage, like the
Yeah,
puggy maps
probably.
that you're gonna see. Of course,
I do
Ravens.
have some stats here that might be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Ravens have been playing a lot of Mirage
Hmm.
and Ancient, which would be a good choice for them because Black Dragons had played like one Ancient the last 3 months or something. They do play a lot of Inferno and Nuke, also Overpass, which is a map that Ravens do not like. So I do believe Inferno might be a good choice, but they might try to make this ancient happen. I don't think it's gonna happen, but never know.
I think it's interesting because I think we are gonna see a lot of ancient. It's kind of a map that's come into the map hole a lot more. I know
Yes,
there's certainly a lot of teams that scrim on it, and we even just at IEM Cologne saw, I think it was the most played map at IEM
yes,
Cologne
it was.
actually. So it's one of these teams where like a lot of teams are going to pick it up, and I feel like it flows almost like Mirage does. In a way, it's kind of laid out. And there are some similarities
Yeah.
in the layout, so it's like it feels like a map that a lot of these players are more naturally picking up than say an Anubis. But
Yes.
Anubis will get there. Don't worry.
yeah, I'm a big fan of the map
He'll get
actually.
there.
But
Oh,
I still think we're going to see a lot of Ancient. So it wouldn't surprise me if we get like a Inferno Mirage and then Ancient as the decider. I think that would be a good lineup. Honestly, between the two, I can't really pick. Ravens is interesting because they have Kati, they have Luli Tens, they have Nami, who I think is a pretty good young player
yes, she's
as
awesome.
well.
But
And
Ravens is not going with the lineup that has qualified
Mhm.
because they had Luflix
Right,
on the roster and she's now on double 7M. So
right,
they are going with Dani. She was an amazing player for Cavalos for the qualifiers.
right.
So I don't think
And
they're worse for that for wear,
yeah,
but
and
Yeah.
it's a change.
Cavalis is a team that's been like made deep Catch Cup runs as well. Like
Yes,
they're up there in terms of the competitiveness. I'm gonna put you on the spot though and say, who do you think takes this one?
between Black Dragons and Ravens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a best of one, so I do think Black Dragons can use their experience to make it happen. I do
Okay.
believe they're gonna take it. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I do think as well. I think this team, even though, like you said, there's not a ton left for them to play for, I think they've got enough power there to see it over the
Yes.
line. Best of one, anything can happen. Of course,
Yes.
Yeah.
Of
That's
course.
but
kind of where it sits.
yeah. But I think, especially if we're here talking about okay, Mirage Inferno, but um, it is I think still going to be Black Dragons that kind of find that quality. So that sets up upper bracket semis. B4
And
and
MIBR.
we said MIBR. Thank
Yep.
you.
I'm
And
keeping track. Don't you worry. I'm keeping track.
I got you. I got you're good. Thank you. So I honestly, and this is also is the whole upper bracket best of one. Is that what it is?
Yes. The
Yeah.
whole
So
upper bracket is best of one,
Lower
except
bracket
of course
matches and
for
grand
the
finals are best of 3.
the grand final. Yes.
So
right. So it'd be B4 and MIBR in a best of one. And I said it because they played at BGS,
Yes.
and I think now this is right before the player break, right
Right.
after Dallas, right? And I think MIBR took that game, and that was on Inferno, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So
It was
it's
a
one,
16-8. It was a very
yeah,
solid game from MIBR.
exactly. So now I'm like, so I look at this bracket, and I'm like, if you just laid out the teams in front prior, I'd said obviously I would think B4 are the favorites, but now I'm like, I mean, like maybe they could make it through a lower bracket run. Like it's not a definite that they just stormed the competition here, and this is a tricky matchup for them. I think if they play the Inferno, they're going to leave themselves open to get sent to the lower bracket again like this. I don't think they will. I think they'll try to play maybe a Mirage or maybe they squeak something out elsewhere like Ancient or something. But or Overpass, but
Yeah.
OT Pass. But I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see Inferno. I think we're honestly going to see Inferno again, and I think it's anyone's game. Um, if I'm going to pick real quick, I'm going to say there's still enough quality in B4 to see them through. I just think they're just an amazing team. I honestly think they're like ranked. Are they ranked 3 in the world now or 4 in the world in the latest rankings?
give me a second.
And
I'll
I'm
check
like,
that.
I don't
I
even
do
think
believe
that's
they're number 3. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm like, I don't
I'm not
even think
sure.
that's. I think they're 2, undoubtedly 2 in the world.
Yeah.
A lot of people say Navi javelins, and I'm like, well, that's
B4
true, but
B4 are rated 4th in the world behind
Oh, fourth.
FlyQuest
Okay.
Red, Navi, and Nigma.
yeah, I
Oh,
don't think that's.
likewise.
I don't think.
Okay.
But FlyQuest played the Cash Cup and whatnot,
Yes.
so I'm like, so. But I think I look at this team and I'm like, this is the number 2 team in the world, like better than Navi javelins. They just haven't had the heads up against Navi to prove that, and I'm like, I think there's enough quality there. But I'm interested to see what you say, Nessie, in terms of this matchup.
Okay, I do have something to say. Both teams have been playing like not only female tournaments but also mixed tournaments, and they had like so similar results. Both before and MIBR won 2 out of 4 matches for Series B of Gamers Club. It's like the second best rated. I'm not sure the words mixed
Isn't it like the
tournaments
third
when
division?
it's
Because
one.
it's like it's B and then it's A and then it's isn't there like one above that or it's like
Yeah, there is Series
yeah
S, but
yeah
Series S is like they get from time to time, from 6 to 6 months, the best teams from Series A. So I do believe it's like a second division, not the
Okay.
third
I, s-
division. Yeah,
I got you.
and they had the same results before Furia and MIBR. All of them got 2 out of 4 matches. So it's very hard to tell who is having a better time right now. Since the BGS, I do believe MIBR has a little edge, but before has so much experience. It have been so good for so long. I do believe before when it comes to a giant event like GC Masters Feminina, I do believe they have an upper hand, but it's very hard to tell in a best of one. It's very hard to tell.
It's also tough because like defending champs always like teams
Yes,
always play defending champs tougher, right? Because they know every that's the one scalp every one of the other 5 teams comes in that they want to get, right? So I'm sure there's going to be a chip on the shoulder for MIBR playing them, but I'm with you. I think B4 are just they're just too good, man. I love them, but
but
they're
I
really
don't
good.
think Mirage is gonna happen because
No,
Mirage is the perma ban for before. So I do believe it's
yeah,
gonna be on Inferno.
right.
And on Inferno, we already had a matchup, really recent one. It was MIBR who took the lead. Maybe before is gonna try to escape this Inferno and make something like Overpass or Anubis to try to surprise them. Nuke would be a very good place for before to take MIBR on a road. So I do believe maybe a Nuke, but Inferno is probably the safest spot to
I'm
be in.
all for the
So looking between the two, then we're gonna go on Inferno. Where are we getting between MIBR and B4? You gotta make a
Yeah,
decision.
yeah, it's something
you,
like
you can't
16,
keep going.
14
Yeah.
for before. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going before
You're
as
gonna go with
well.
B4 as well. Perfect. Let me just pencil that in, and that would put MIBR versus Ravens in the bottom, I believe. That's how that
Yeah.
works.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. One other thing while I was thinking and looking at it, because Benny mentioned like the cash cups and all that sort of things. One, LATAM teams play a lot more events compared to NA because they have like a League of Feminina and all the other Gamers Club tournaments. So ranking doesn't change too much for that. Also, LCA's tournament is in the list because Cherry Bombs played in it. I thought that was really cool. So that's just
Yeah.
something else I wanted to
They
mention when I
actually
looked at
went
the
one
live
and two in
ranking.
the group too. I was like,
Yes,
oh,
they
yeah.
managed to win a match. I'm not sure how because I wasn't really privy to that information. Um, but that's just something I thought was really cool I wanted to mention. So
Yeah.
the point system has its way of working itself out, fortunately. But yes, before into the upper bracket final, and now you guys have Furia versus Black Dragons in the upper bracket semis.
Yeah, I think this is pretty as expected. I think the new Furia lineup's going to be really, really, really good. Anna X is a good pickup. I
Yes.
actually was ashamed because like I told Parks actually here. I DM'd him at Nessie and I said, it's interesting that Josie announced the day after they picked up Anna X. Like the post, obviously they would have picked her up like a week or two before that to sort the contract and everything else out. But the day after they announce it, that Josie's available because I'm like, oh my god, Josie in this lineup would do so much damage to other teams. I'm like, that would be unbelievable. But I think Anna's a really good player. I think she's shown her quality. She's constantly been there in like the top 10 whenever FemaleCS.com does come out with the stats for like any type of tournament, whether it's Masters Feminina, whether it's Impact Lands, whether it's a regular season Impact. It's just, it's not going to be the flashy star-studded play, but it's going to be the consistent. I need these numbers out of a player, and you get that all the time with NX. So I'm like, that's kind of what Furia need actually. So um, I do like this new Furia lineup. I think there's a lot of potential here, and I think they're going to show it. I think they'll be into the grand final.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I do believe that both Josie and Onyx would have been amazing choices. Furia has been going for the young guns for a long time, for their fifth player, and it hasn't been working out in terms of consistency, which Onyx can offer for a team. She has been known for being a quality player for so long. But Furia actually tried to get Josie, and they couldn't because I don't remember the word. It's the fee you have in your contract.
The
You
buyout.
know, the buyout, exactly.
Yeah.
Her buyout was insanely high, so Fury couldn't get it, and then they went with Anna X. She wasn't like a second choice. They really liked her for this part. And Anna X is an amazing player. I do believe she's at her peak, actually. She has been playing so well lately. So she's an amazing fifth player for Furia. They're gonna be really strong anytime soon, but I'm not sure if they're there yet because Black Dragons do know Anna X so well. They can try to, you know, get her to try to not make her play her own game when they're playing against her because they do know her so well. I do believe Furia has the upper hand on this matchup. It's gonna be a tough one because Josie is insanely good.
Yeah, and she's very very good. I think I said something when she signed for Big. I want to say she was like she went before Olga went to HSG if I remember correctly. So that made her like
Yes.
the second export from Brazil that I could remember because I think we had obviously Sholiana for
Yes.
Dignitas way back in the day. And my history before like I can't remember if anything else. I'm sure I could probably look on Wikipedia and find another player maybe back in like 2017 or 16. But I
Yeah.
remember
I don't
Sholiana.
remember
Yeah, I don't
anyone
remember
aside
either
from that.
It's too
offhand.
far
So
ago.
it was, yeah. I mean, I
Oh,
don't even
I
remember what
mean,
I did on
if you
Saturday, but
consider Argentina, we had Kami and Napper playing for 9Z back in the
okay,
day.
okay.
So if you consider Argentina, then we did have
But
two
9Z the
more
Brazilian
players.
side,
Yeah,
right? Or was that an American mix?
it was a
Like,
South American mix.
okay. Yeah, no,
9Z
I meant
had
out of the
three
whole
Argentinian
continent, like
players. Yeah.
exported out
Oh
of
no,
the
yeah.
whole
Okay.
Yeah, so there was Sholiana, and then there was Josie, and then
Olga.
Olga afterwards. So, um, but like I said, I think Josie's really good. That's going to be tough. But I think Furia. I'm picking Furia.
Okay, I do agree.
Okay.
Perfect. All right.
So,
Pencil that in then.
okay.
Let's finish off the upper bracket then, just that we have all the best of ones out the way. We're done with them all.
Okay.
B4 versus Furia to see who goes to the grand finals. Like I said, best of one, best of luck
Yeah.
to both of
I
you.
was about to put my head in my hands. I'm like, old rivals meet yet again.
Yep.
Yet again.
It always
Um,
comes down to Furia and before.
yeah. Yeah. I was actually interested because before the roster moves, before the roster moves, like once the close qualifier finished, I'm like, yeah, my two favorites would probably be B4 and Black Dragons, even though Furia won the League of Feminina. But now that everything's kind of, you know,
Fuzzy.
tectonically shifted around, it's like maybe Furia might be the second favorite. But um, this is going to be this is like the matchup that if you're going to pick one matchup in the upper bracket to watch, and we get this as the upper bracket final, this is the one you want to pay attention to. This is going to be fireworks, I think. So, I still like B4. Call me bias. Put it Parks. You can put it under Benny bias, but I because I like B4 so much, but
Yeah.
I do think like a team that's that well coordinated, that has the firepower. They have the players that can just turn on a dime and pick up a performance that carries them over the line. I think you'll see that in this matchup. So I think B4 will run through the upper bracket. Like I said, it could totally come down to a lower bracket run for them, but I think they also have enough quality that they can go straight through the upper bracket. And so I'm going to stick to that and pick them here in this matchup.
Yeah, so hard. Let me see.
Yep.
I do believe that before, they haven't changed their roster. They have been. They're an amazing team. They are consistent. They have solid results. But there's something off, a little off, with them for the last few weeks. I'm not sure what's happening. Maybe everyone, when you're on top, everyone watches your game. Everyone tries to learn from you. Everyone tries to cancel your game. So I do believe that something like that might be happening to before because the results are not as bright as it once was. So I do believe for this particular matchup, I do believe that before takes it with like a really tough game, but they do take it. But I have something to say for the grand finals. So we're gonna get there.
No, don't do that to me. So pencil in B4,
Penciled in.
and then what's that? What's next?
What's next is the lower bracket quarterfinals. Now remember, from here on out, everything is best of three. We've gone through all the best of one
Yes.
stuff. We cleared all that out. Now we're getting into the map pool stuff. And we'll go with the first matchup being Ravens versus MIBR in the first quarterfinal match.
Ay. I don't know. This is look. I want to favor MIBR. I do.
Okay.
But I'm like, this Ravens side is going to be really punchy. Like they were very punchy in the qualifiers. They were. It just. It's a tough one. I do think. I really something in the back of my head says you really want to pick Ravens. So I'm going to do what you shouldn't do and go against your first thought. Because I say your first thought's always right.
Mm-hmm.
And my first thought was that might be art. No, I'm going to go with Ravens. I'll
Okay.
give it to
Oh,
Ravens
okay.
on this one. So I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be like scrappy, puggy maps, really, kind of a back and forth affair. But I just feel like there's something about this Ravens side that's like, this is going to be unfair, and I know not all our viewers are football watchers, Parks, but I feel like they're Nigeria at the World Cup, right?
Ooh.
They were tough to put down. Like they won one game, they drew the rest of the three. They're out of the tournament on penalties, sure, but it's like you couldn't find a way to actually beat the side. They were just very hard to beat, and I feel like that's kind of this Ravens side. Like you go in, everybody's favored against them, but they're just hard to put down. It's like old W7M when you played them on Mirage. It's
Yeah.
it's like they were just always tough to beat. So I feel like Ravens is going to be the same thing. I feel like that's something that could spring an upset on MIBR in this matchup.
I do believe that the double 7M example doesn't really fit in here because double 7M has already been struggling for a
Don't do that
while,
to me.
and they did change the
Don't do
roster
that to
after
me.
that, a little time after that. So I do believe that Mari had already checked out,
Oh
from the
yeah.
team, and Summits was already not really fitting in the lineup anymore. So maybe this matchup between Ravens and Double 7M gives us a wrong impression about both Double 7M and about Ravens, because Ravens is a very new team. They haven't had the consistency I do believe it takes to
Mhm.
get a best of 3 out of MIBR. I do believe
Okay.
MIBR is gonna take that. Maybe Ravens wins a Mirage,
Right.
like a really close result, because they do have amazing players. Dani, which is the recent addition, is a very skilled player, an amazing girl actually. So I do believe they get a Mirage, but if it comes down to Inferno, it's gonna be MIBR for the win, and probably non overpass for the decider. I do believe it's gonna happen, and I do favor MIBR on this matchup. Yeah.
Okay, so with 1-1, I flipped a coin. Came up heads,
No,
so
no,
Okay.
don't flip the coin.
MIBR
Go,
win.
Oh,
go
come
with the
on, go with your
expert.
gut.
Go with the expert.
Oh,
so.
and she won anyways. Don't worry, MIBR won the coin flip too.
Okay,
so.
good.
Oh, that's great.
Last quarterfinal matchup then in the lower bracket is W7M versus Black Dragons. Best of 3, like I said. Winner of this plays MIBR.
Mm,
It's tough.
it is.
I don't know. I really don't know. Well, because
You can't
I'm
flip a
looking
coin.
at
I just did that.
I know, but I'm looking at W7M and I'm looking at like the old lineup and I'm like, man, that lineup's good. But then I know
Yes, it
that's not
was
the
on
full.
paper, right?
Yeah, but it's
On
like
paper.
I know that's not what we're gonna see. So it's like I
But
don't know.
recently they have some pretty good results. It wasn't something, oh my god, so inspired, but they did have some good results. I do believe Double 7M is adjusting a lot
Mhm.
quicker than I would expect them to. They did beat Divina, which is a team that has been together for longer than they have, and
Yeah,
it was a close game on Inferno. It was 16-13, but it was a victory. So I do believe Double 7M is gonna put up a fight, but I don't see Black Dragons losing this one. They do
yeah,
have Kami, they do have Josie, which is an amazing complete. I'm gonna be saying this a lot because I do believe Josie is one of the best players I've ever seen on action. But
yeah,
uh,
yeah. I agree. I think Black Dragon. I like your pick of Black Dragons. Like I said, I look at W7M, I look at the old lineup, and I'm like, man, that lineup's good. But I know it's not the lineup that's playing, and I know the Black Dragons lineup that is playing, and I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of quality in that lineup, like enough to see them through this series. So
Right.
maybe against more structured teams that I mean that have had the time, like a B4, probably like a Furia now. Sure, they'll struggle to find their stride, but I'm with you there. I think Black Dragons will take it. So uh, I don't know. I just feel like W7M historically, and when I mean historically, I mean like even before Marty came into the side, like that lineup. It's like they're really tough to put down. Like they were always on Mirage specifically. They were just always take it to you on Mirage. I remember they would
Yes.
start out games where they were like 8-2, 9-3 in the lead, and then they would lose like 16-14 or 19-17, and it's like, how'd you find a way to lose the game? But that's the kind of team that they were. They were always going to run at you at Mirage, and they were always going to give you problems. But in a best of three, that kind of teams are okay dealing with that because they know they can pick up the other two maps. So I think that's probably what we'll see. We'll probably see a 2-0 in all honesty, but I think it'll still be for Black Dragons. But
I do believe it's
no,
gonna be a 2-1. Yeah. I'm gonna give this credit to Double 7 now. I do believe they're gonna put up a good show for us.
All right.
okay, that's fair. I mean, I thought 2-0, but I thought you're gonna get like a 16-11, a 16-13 in there. Like,
Or an overtime or something.
yeah, they play Overpass, so
Yeah.
we haven't luckily had OT pass in a while. That was like all season 1, and now that's gone. Thank God. I don't need insane over. Although they played one in I think the Cash Cups parks in like Nuke or something like a few weekends ago.
Yeah,
It was like 3 or
there's
4
been
OTs. I was like, oh my God.
a.
But anyway,
Double 7M is a big fan of Overpass, actually. So it might happen. They did play Ravens on Overpass, and they won. They lost actually 16-4. No, they won 16-14. So it might happen. It might happen.
for the sake of
Overpass.
us commentators, no.
No, Overpass takes us like
Please
3
don't.
hours to comment. It's an insanely long map, and all the rounds always end on when the chronometer hits the red. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's exhausting.
All
But I
right.
do love playing in it though.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay, lower bracket semifinals: MIBR versus Black Dragons.
I do believe MIBR is gonna have an easy, not an easy time, but it's gonna be maybe 2-0 because MIBR is really solid right now.
Yeah.
And Black Dragons, on the other hand, is not having an amazing time. They do have a complete, and even though it's still there, I said so many times, but they're probably gonna have a hard time against MIBR. I'm gonna go with my MIBR for this one.
What are the two maps you think we're gonna get? Like Inferno Mirage? Or...
Maybe a nuke from Black Dragons. They don't
Okay.
have an X, but Josie is also a very skilled player on nuke. So maybe
and they're
a nuke.
a very good nuke team.
Yeah, but MIBR is gonna ban. No, they're gonna ban Ancient. So no Ancient, and the Black Dragons is probably gonna ban Anubis.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna probably have Inferno, Nuke, and maybe Mirage as the decider.
And I would fancy on Mirage and on Inferno. I would fancy MIBR every day of the week
me
there.
too.
So I'm with you. I think MIBR definitely have a quality to get into the lower bracket final.
All right, that leaves us with Furia and MIBR in the finals. Winner goes on to the grand finals. Who do you guys have winning between MIBR and Furia?
You want to go first, Benny?
I think it's okay. I'm gonna make a fool out of myself at some point in this episode. I'm already convinced. No,
You already have.
I think it's gonna be. Yeah, I know. That's true. I I think it's gonna be Furia. I think Furia. Like, I really want to pick MIBR in this one. I do. I think they're a really good team.
Yeah.
But I look at Furia and I'm like, there's just so much skill in this team. Like Kaz, just amazing, and if Anna X performs like we've seen her perform on Black Dragons in this lineup, Furia is going to be very hard to stop on T side. So I think I mean there's listen, you could make a case for either team, but I think Furia is going to be really a little bit better. I think I think this is going to be the closest series the whole tournament, though. I don't even think the grand final will be as close as this series. I think it's going to be really, really, really. Although I say that, but then if we get MIBR B4 in the final, we might get a really close series there too. But I'm going to give it to Fury. I think they have enough to get it over the line.
I don't agree with the grand final comment, and I'm gonna get there. But I do believe that it's gonna be a very close game. I do believe that actually Fury takes it 2-0 on two very close maps. I don't think MIBR can get the Inferno from them. Kai was being a little like a wild card for recent months, but
Right.
Gabs is a player that can got to play better. I'm not sure what happens. I'm not sure if they're because they're so good friends, but Gabs can make the whole Fury team like a better environment to work out. So I do believe Fury is on a crescent. It's on the what's the word
The
when you
rise, I guess,
yeah on the
or the
rise exactly.
or on
They're
the
on the
ascending.
rise.
Yeah.
Yes, they're ascending. So I'm going with 2-0 for Fury.
Okay.
Perfect. All right.
Okay.
Grand finals then is a upper bracket rematch.
Yes.
B4 versus Furia for the lion's share of the prize money.
Yep.
Winner, of course, getting the 30,000. I believe it's
Brazilian real.
Brazilian real. Yeah. So a pretty good chunk of change, and I mean, it's between the two. Like we've talked about more and more. These are probably going to be the two teams coming out of season 4. Most like early predictions here. These are two teams coming out of season 4 looking the best to go to Valencia.
Yeah. I laugh because it's one of those things where it's like every time we get into this whole circuit, the whole Liga Feminina circuit, I'm like, man, it's so up in the air. We're definitely going to see new teams, and the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's literally, it's like here we are again with B4 and Furious. So best of 3 though.
Yep.
This is a terrible thing to say, but I'm gonna stick to the Benny bias and go with B4 as the champions. I think they have enough to double to repeat. And I think that'll show through. I think it'll be close though. When I meant it'll be the lower bracket final will be closer is when I'm looking at Fury at B4, you said 2-0, and I'm here thinking I think this is going to be like a 4-hour slugfest where that one's like 3 maps. There's overtimes in there. Like I'm really splitting hairs on each round. Like, and I don't think we're going to get that in the grand final, but there's certainly potential for like 16-13s in this grand final.
It is.
But I do think it'll be 2-1, and I think it'll be for B4. I think B4 are just a very, very excellent team. I even thought, and I said it, I think, on the Dust 2 interview, I thought that B4 had the quality with him at Dallas to take down Nigma. And then on the pod, I remember afterwards, Parkside said, I thought B4 lost that series more than Nigma kind of won it. But if that's the B4 we get, I don't think it'll be a question that they'll win. But if we get like, the start of the BGS that we saw versus MIBR, I'm thinking, wow, the door is open then. But I think Fury have enough to slam the door shut and take home the tournament.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. If we do get the before we saw it Impact that almost put out Enigma that had such a solid run against Black Dragons, that was a very good team. I don't think they can lose it. But and here's where I may be a little lunatic. I do believe that Fury is stronger now. They used to be the number 1 team for so long, and they had Gabs, Ka, Isa, and Gabi. And they do have Gabs back. And Gabs she's a very dedicated player. She hates losing so much. She just hates it. So she does whatever she can for her team and to get the results they want. So I do believe, oh my god, it's so hard. But I do believe that maybe Fury is a little bit just like close to the title than before is. I don't think before is actually worse than it was last year. I just don't believe it's so much better than they were last year. From apart from Fury, very they were better than Fury last year, but I don't believe they are now. I'm not sure if Fury is better than them, but I'm not
Right.
sure if before it's better. I do believe they're very equal at the moment. And when Fury faces an equal team, they usually have so much experience behind them, and so their players have a lot of titles and a lot of tournaments they had won only on experience and dedication alone. So I do believe that maybe Fury is gonna get it. It's gonna be 2-1 or really close games. It's not gonna be an easy game. It's not gonna be a quick game. But I'm gonna say Fury.
All right.
I just want to say it's funny that it's like, well, before have been the top team in Brazil for a while, and that's true. But like for
For
8
like a
months,
year, yeah.
9 months, yeah, like it's but then I'm like, Furia have won like 4, I think. I want to say they've won 4 editions of
Yes,
Masters
they did.
Feminina.
It
So
was
it's like
number 3
I'm so used
Jaguares
to
and
them.
number
When you
6
say on
before.
top for so long, I'm like, I'm so used to that. Like it's like, or they won. I think they won 2 in a row, then dropped the third, and won 2 more in a row. It's like,
Yes, exactly.
yeah. So
So
it's
if
like,
you think that, then this is their edition again. This
don't
and
do that.
the eighth
Don't
one.
do that. Oh no, come. Although the more things change, we're back to that
The
topic.
more
Yes,
they
of
stay the
course.
Yeah,
same.
yeah, exactly. But
All right.
no, I think it'll be a good one.
It's
Definitely great viewing.
yeah, and I mean, I'm not even gonna try and decide the grand finals. I think it's great that you both come in with different teams coming through as to who you think will win. The best thing to say is we'll see when the tournament comes through because that's coming up this weekend. I want to say
This weekend, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So that'll be 4 days, 5 days, 4 and 5 days time, depending on when the grand finals is, and we'll get to see whether Benny was right or whether Nessie was right.
Don't do that.
I've done it.
We
I
both
have
could be
done
right. It's gonna be a really close call. Yeah.
Here's a big question.
Yeah.
Nessie, are you commentating the event? If you're not allowed to say it, just say I'm not allowed to say it.
Oh no, yeah, I am.
Ah, yes.
No,
there you
the
go.
grand final. You mean?
Well,
I'm not
Any
sure.
of it. No,
I don't have the
just
schedule,
any of the tournament.
but
Any
I'm
of the
gonna be
tournament in
commentating
general.
on Masters Feminina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
perfect.
Brazil does this wonderful thing where it's like a casting couch where it's like
Yeah.
5, 6. It's like a whole lounge, like with like 2. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's great. It's fantastic. So
If you can't
It's
say
so
hi
fun,
for us.
What'd
If
you
you
say,
can't say
Clark?
hi for us.
Yeah,
Shout
yeah.
out to
It's
the
like,
2
it
North
reminds me
American
of
guys
the
that are
old-
watching for some reason.
Yeah, it reminds me of the old Beyond the
Summit.
Summits. Remember
Yes.
they would have the,
I was talking about
yeah,
this the other day.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a good time. But
Yes.
okay. Well,
That's
we'll
that's
see.
that's the bracket. So the winner for Benny is B4. The winner for Nessie is Furia. We'll see where that comes for that. Nessie, thank you so much for popping on. Is there anything you want to shout out before we get out of here?
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you guys so much. That's it. I'm not sure what to say. Thank you so much. And tune in for this Masters Feminina. It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna have a lot of good games. And see you there.
Perfect. Awesome.
Absolutely. And find her on Twitter, by the way,
Yes.
at Nessyteras, I believe,
Yes.
correct?
We'll have that link down in the description as well. So no reason you can't find her. She does excellent casting in Brazil. Perfect. All right, Benny, you might as well get us send off here. We'll
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, this weekend, look forward to the event. Thank you so much, Nessie, for coming on. It's fantastic to run
Thank
the
you.
bracket, run through the bracket with you, I should say. And look forward to you on the broadcast. For all of you viewers that have watched this episode, thank you so much. And we will see you in 2 weeks' time for the next one. Till then, take care.